My name's Adele Jones. I'm Deputy Chief Executive of the Sustainable Food Trust, and we're here today on a farm in the Cotswolds on a lovely sunny day to talk about soil testing and why that's going to become a really important part of farm businesses in the future. With all the new government schemes and possible private sector opportunities for farmers to be able to access new funding streams, monitoring your soil in terms of where you're starting from and where you'd like to go is going to become ever more important. There's obviously some very expensive soil tests that can be done where you collect samples and send them off to labs for analysis. But there's also things you can do for free with really simple equipment, and we thought that's where we'd start from today. So I'll just run you through the equipment you need to do these 3 tests, and then we'll get out into the field. So firstly, most importantly, you'll need a spade. Secondly, a sheet or a piece of tarpaulin to just lay the soil on once you've dug it out. For the infiltration test, you're going to need a piece of drain pipe, ideally about 15 centimetres long, but as long as you use the same piece of drain pipe every time you do this each year, that's fine. You've got to be consistent with what you're using, and a mallet to bang it in, a marker pen just to mark the depth of the drain pipe, and a couple of standard sized water bottles for the infiltration test. So the first test we're going to look at today is a VES test, which stands for Visual Evaluation of Soil Structure. So what you need for this is a spade to dig the hole, a sheet to put the soil sample on, and then you need the VES scorecard, which we've got here on the iPad. You can print it out, or you can download the Soil Mentor app, which has it all set out there for you. So we're just going to dig a hole, which is about 15 to 20 centimetres in width and length, and about the same in depth, if possible. Got a helper. Okay. And pop it onto your sheet. So the first thing you want to do is just take a photo of the sample, so you can just visually compare what the whole profile looks like when you do the same test again next year. And then using the VES scorecard, which you can have printed or on an iPad or on the app, you want to start having a look at the profile of the soil, the different colour changes, and the structure of, first of all, the turf layer, so this top bit of the soil here, and then this bottom area here, which came out a little bit deeper. So on the VES scorecard and on the Soil Mentor app, you'll see photos of different types of soil, and you want to try and match what you see with the photos on the scorecard and score accordingly. So after you've taken a photo, measured the top turf layer, which is roughly where the roots come down to from the turf, you want to then start kind of breaking apart the soil, if you can, so that you've got chunks that you can have a look at. And the VES scorecard will ask you things like, how big are the aggregates? So here they're probably 3 to 4 centimetres, the larger ones. There's some smaller ones which are about 2 centimetres. They're quite crumbly. They have some roots running through them, and they're quite round. They're not too angular, these aggregates, whereas some soil types you'll have very pointy chunks of soil. So you want to be recording all these different things you see in the VES scorecard, and it will take you through that approach as you do it. And at the end, you'll add up your scores and divide them up for an average, and that will give you your visual evaluation score for your sample of soil. Ideally, you want to be doing about 5 samples across the field, and what's particularly good about the Soil Mentor app is that it will GPS tag where you've done the sample, so next year you can go back to the same spot. So once we've finished the VES test, the second test we'll go on to is an earthworm count. So similarly, you dig a hole, a little bit bigger hole this time, sort of about 30 centimetres across, and about the same in depth, and then you want to take your sample again onto the tarpaulin. Okay. So once you've managed to pick out about as many worms as you can find. You just want to count the, most importantly, the total number. 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10. So I can count 19 here. And then what you can do is then count how many of the different types of worms you have. So there's 3 main types of worms. There's leaf litter worms, which tend to be a bit smaller and bright red in colour. Then there's topsoil worms, which are the most common ones you see. They're kind of a pale pinky grey colour. And then there's deeper burrowing worms, which are similar to topsoil worms, but they tend to have a kind of blacky red head. Make a note of how many you've got in total, how many of each type if you can. And do the same for your other samples across the field. So the amount and type of worms in your soil is a really good indicator of soil health. It's obviously going to depend on soil type and the time of year as to how many you'll find, but generally a healthy soil will have a huge number and variety of earthworms, and they play a really important role in building and mixing up the organic matter. So what we're going to need for this test is this 15 centimetre long piece of drain pipe, a mallet to bang it into the soil, a marker pen just to mark how deep you're going to bang it into, a standard size bottle of water, and a phone or a stopwatch to time the water as it drains away. So firstly, what you want to do is, with your 15 centimetre piece, is mark halfway, so it's 75 centimetres, and then you're going to find your spot and start banging it into the ground. So once it's in the ground, you want to get your stopwatch ready, and then you want to pour 450 ml, so pretty much this is 500 ml, so almost all of this water bottle in. As soon as it's all in, press start, and you want to time how long it takes for the water to totally drain away. So it's almost up to the top. Start. So once you've done this, you can make a note of the time that it took to drain away, and record the results either in the Soil Mentor app or just note them down for next year. And we suggest you do this in a W shape across your field. So if you draw a virtual W and then do a infiltration test at each of the points, so 7 times, and then again make sure you're using the same points when you do it next year. That will give you a really good sense of the infiltration across the field, because obviously it's going to vary and you want to take an average. Although we don't yet know exactly what soil tests farmers might be required to complete, for example for the elm scheme, it's really important that you start doing this now. And I would suggest recording all your results today on the Soil Mentor app. So if you go to the Soil Mentor website, they've got videos and instructions for how to complete each test, and then also an application that you can use to store your results each year, and also GPS tag where each test has taken place, so you can go back to the same spot next time you do it.